The hidden truth finally surfaces, proving the chosen one's innocence against all false accusations. For so long, it felt like the world had conspired to twist reality, to make it appear as though you were guilty of things you never did, as though the shadows had more authority than the light. You carried the weight of those lies on your shoulders, bearing the silent suffering of being misunderstood and misrepresented. People pointed fingers, rumors spread like wildfire, and judgments came from those who never even knew your heart. It was as if a verdict had already been cast before a trial was ever held. And no one wanted to hear your side because the false narrative was more entertaining than the truth. But the truth has a way of fighting its way out, no matter how deeply it's buried or how tightly it's suppressed. Eventually, light breaks through even the thickest darkness, and what was hidden begins to come to the surface. That is what's happening now. Very evidence, the undeniable facts, have emerged to expose the lies for what they are and to establish your innocence beyond any doubt. It is almost surreal when you see the tables turn this way, because for years you may have wondered if justice would ever arrive, or if your voice would ever be heard. But now, the truth has a voice of its own, and it speaks louder than every false accusation that was ever hurled against you. People who once looked at you through the lens of suspicion are now forced to see that they were wrong. The evidence strips away every mask, every disguise, every web of deceit spun around your name. And what remains is the purity of your intentions and the reality of your integrity. It's a powerful thing when lies collapse under the weight of truth, because it doesn't just prove you innocent, it proves that the ones who accused you were motivated by fear, envy, or a desire to see you destroyed. Their weapons no longer hold power, their whispers no longer stick, and their schemes are reduced to rubble in the face of undeniable facts. There's something divine about the timing of this revelation, too, because it doesn't come when you are desperate for approval or when you are begging to be validated by others. It comes at a moment when you've already learned to stand firm in who you are, even without the acceptance of those who doubted you. This revelation is not about proving yourself to the world. It is about the world being forced to recognize what heaven already knew. You were never guilty, never unworthy, never the person they painted you to be. You were chosen, set apart, and tested through the fire of false accusations. And now the truth that was hidden is shining like gold refined in the flame. Every slanderous word spoken against you is being overturned. Every lie is being dismantled, and every weapon that was formed against you is being exposed as powerless. The hidden truth surfacing feels like both a vindication and a rebirth. It's as though the years of silence, the years of being misunderstood, are finally giving way to clarity and freedom. You are no longer bound by the shadows of suspicion, because the truth is a shield that protects you now. Those who tried to bury you under lies will have to watch as you rise, not because of their approval, but because the evidence speaks for itself. The false stories they spun have lost their grip, and what remains is a testimony of resilience, integrity, and divine protection. The very things that were used to break you are now proof that you were never guilty to begin with. And the truth has revealed you stronger than ever. High-level evidence exposes the deception of enemies and shifts the balance of power. For a long time, those who sought to bring you down operated in the shadows, weaving lies and manipulation as if no one would ever uncover their schemes. They relied on secrecy, on the assumption that their deceit would remain hidden, and on the belief that the world would never see beyond their false narratives. But when evidence emerges on a higher level, evidence that cannot be ignored, dismissed, or twisted, the deception collapses instantly. What they tried so hard to cover up, what they invested so much energy into concealing, is suddenly wide open for all to see. The very foundation of their power was built on falsehood, and once the truth is revealed, that foundation crumbles. The accusations, the slander, the whispers in dark corners are rendered meaningless in the light of facts that cannot be denied. The balance of power begins to shift in this moment because authority is no longer in the hands of those who manipulated stories, controlled narratives, and fed others with lies. The evidence now speaks with greater authority than their voices ever could. When proof steps forward, the enemy's voice is silenced. When the truth rises to the surface, every attempt at deception is exposed as weak, cowardly, and futile. This is the turning point where the chosen one, who was once at the mercy of rumor and accusation, stands vindicated. The same people who thought they had the power to destroy your reputation are left scrambling as their schemes are unveiled and their credibility is shattered. What they meant for harm becomes their own undoing, because the exposure of lies does not simply free you, implicates them. High-level evidence also has a way of revealing motives. It does not just clear your name, it forces the world to confront why these enemies went to such lengths to frame you. People begin to ask questions. Why was so much energy put into attacking this person? Why were lies crafted with such precision? Why did they need to convince so many others of a false story? And in those questions, the deeper truth is revealed. Was never about you being guilty of anything. It was about fear of your light, envy of your calling, and resentment of the favor over your life. Once evidence proves innocence, those motives become undeniable, and the true nature of your enemies is revealed for what it is. They were not powerful figures, they were fragile, threatened individuals whose deceit is now exposed. This shift of power is more than just symbolic. Respect is restored. Those who believe the lies must now confront the reality that they were wrong, and those who doubted you must reconsider their stance. Evidence doesn't just erase doubt, it builds credibility. It strengthens your position, elevates your voice, and sets you apart as someone who endured the storm of lies and came out stronger, cleaner, and sharper. The enemies lose more than just their narrative. They lose followers, and they lose the control they once thought was unshakable. Their downfall is tied to the very exposure of their deception, while your rise is tied to the clarity of truth. When the balance of power shifts this way, it is irreversible. Once truth is known at a high level, it cannot be undone. Lies may linger in whispers, but they hold no weight when proof is established. The chosen one, once targeted and cornered, stands in a position of strength, because truth is a force greater than any weapon formed against them. High-level evidence dismantles the schemes of the wicked, restores honor to the innocent, and redirects the flow of power so that justice and truth sit on the throne where lies once tried to reign. Divine timing reveals the chosen one's vindication, turning shame into honor. For so long, it may have seemed like the lies would stand unchallenged, as if the truth would remain hidden forever. Days turned into years, and the weight of being misunderstood pressed heavily on your spirit. Yet, even in the silence, even in the waiting, something greater was at work. Divine timing is never rushed, and it is never delayed. It moves with precision, waiting for the exact moment when exposure of the truth will have the greatest impact, and when vindication will serve not only to free you, but also to reveal the depth of divine protection over your life. There is purpose behind the delay, and there is power in the waiting. Because when the truth comes forth, it doesn't just clear your name, meet, redefines your story. Vindication arriving at this moment shows that your suffering was not in vain. The shame you once endured, the whispers, the judgmental glances, and the isolation you felt were all part of a process meant to refine you rather than destroy you. While others looked at you with doubt, heaven looked at you with favor. While people assumed you were finished, the divine was quietly preparing a stage where your vindication would be undeniable. If the truth had come earlier, it may not have carried the same weight. If it had been revealed in a different season, it might have been overlooked or dismissed. But now, at the appointed time, it cannot be ignored. The evidence arrives when hearts are most ready to see it, and when the exposure of lies will carry the strongest message. This timing also ensures that those who try to shame you are forced to confront their own actions. They cannot simply excuse their behavior or rewrite history, because the truth now speaks louder than anything they once claimed. Their attempts to humiliate you, to paint you as guilty, are overturned in such a way that the shame they try to place on you returns to them. What once felt like disgrace has transformed into honor, because the very lies that weighed you down are the same lies that now elevate you. People see the strength it took for you to endure, the grace with which you handled betrayal, and the integrity you maintained through the storm. That strength is now admired, that grace is now respected, and that integrity is now honored. The transformation from shame to honor is not just external, it happens within you as well. Where once there may have been pain, there is now peace. Where there was confusion, thank you.